The idea of infinity is so central to Kusama's art. There are images of infinity everywhere, right from her very earliest watercolours, where you see these little, like they're little planets lost in space, but they could also be seed heads, and then right through to her first mirror rooms, and of course the mirrors create this infinite regression into space. And it kind of, I don't know, sums up her current obsession with life, with the kind of limitless of life's potential.
So we wanted, my co-curator Francis Morris and I wanted to find a title that would include infinity as part of, one of the first things people would learn about the show was that it had to do with this idea. And obsession is really, the obsessional quality of Kusama's work is part of what drew me to it in the first place.
Obsession is everything. She's an obsessional character. Kusama's always had mental health issues right from a very early age, and many of those are associated with trauma and anxiety, and they manifest themselves in obsessive-compulsive behavior.
I'm interested in artists who have a very strong singular pathology and whose work expresses that pathology very clearly or in a way that's always, how can you say, front and center. And Kusama clearly fits into that category.
She experienced hallucinations as a child, and the work then becomes a metaphor for those hallucinations, and it's an obsessive metaphor. Obsession underpins the way she works. She gets up in the morning and she paints. She goes to bed at night thinking about her painting. She wakes up again in the morning, and so on and so forth. So there's this incredible obsessive nature of her work. Then there's the obsession with certain images in the work. There's a sex obsession. In the 1960s, when she got to America, she came from rural, conservative, very backward Japan. She was a woman. It was a very frigid society. She arrived in New York on the brink of that period of sexual liberation. It was terrifying for her. So she's overwhelmed by sex obsession. She comes from poor Japan, the occupation, situation where many people were starving. She arrives in America, that everywhere there's the kind of food culture, fast food culture, she becomes food obsessed. So throughout her work, during different periods, different obsessions rule her psychology and rule the way she works.
So Infinite Obsession seemed like a good title because it really brings those two things together. The idea of the infinite, of the void, of the idea of endless repetition, which is maybe describes some of the more formal characteristics of Kusama's work, and the idea of obsession and obsessional neurosis, which is the psychological content of a lot of the work. But of course, in the end, the two things are really informing each other. And I think we decided that since this was the first presentation of Kusama in Brazil and Argentina and Mexico, we wanted it to offer a near complete overview of her work as an artist. And I thought this was part of our responsibility to the public in these countries.